Hello there, thank you for staying with us and welcome to another edition of Channels Beam. I'm Victor Matthias. Now, the heightened insecurity in some parts of northern Nigeria led to residents of the area to create the hashtag Secure North and use on various social media platforms to create awareness and seek the restoration of peace in their communities. Now, this edition of the program will look at how communities have used hashtags on social media to create awareness and the results generated. We will also be looking at the plight of those living in the areas, as well as the recent efforts being made vis-a-vis the raid of the camp of one of the dreaded bandits in the area. And joining us to look at this, we have with us in the Lagos studio, Makari Confidence. He is a geopolitical and security analyst with SBM Intelligence in Lagos. It's a pleasure to have you on the program today.
Thank you for having me once again.
Of course. We also have joining us from our Kano studio, Zaid Ayuba. He is the national president of the Arewa Youth Consultative Council. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today as well.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And joining us via Skype is Isa Ali. He is a research scholar at the Digital Forensic Research Lab in Atlantic Council at Washington, D.C. It's a pleasure to have you on the program today.
Thank you, everyone. Good day.
Of course, good day to you. But Makari, kickstart this conversation for us. I mean, you've seen the hashtag, you followed the trends. What exactly is going on, in these areas?
Well, the Nigeria security crisis has taken a lot of various forms over the past few years. And what happens in one geopolitical zone is at least mildly different from what happens in another geopolitical zone. And in some cases, you find that two geopolitical zones are overlapping in terms of security issues. So our focus currently is in the Northwest, and the most dominant security challenge there are the pastoral killings, the inter-ethnic clashes, and then overarching banditry, where we have a number of criminal groups and their kingpins going to villages, destroy villages, kill people, steal, raid, and they rustle cattle. And so you could, on some planes, some people have attributed these issues to climate change. That's especially on the pastoral conflict side. And then you could also blame unemployment for a lot of these issues, but you could also find out that these problems, they have to start from one geopolitical zone, overlapping into the other geopolitical zones. So it tends to create these problems between two particular geopolitical zones.
People are resorting to social media to create awareness, and all of that. Do you think this would be an effective way to tackle the menace?
If we go by the trends we've seen in Nigerian media space for some time, social media has been an effective tool to bring about change. We saw what happened last year during the NSAS protests, where the NSAS hashtag started in 2017, morphed into street protests in December 2017, and then in 2020 it made a comeback, and then there were some couple of responses by the government, even though the protesters didn't get exactly what they wanted. And so in so many other ways, we've seen protesters stick to the streets from social media, and then I think from what the people in the Northwest protesting are trying to achieve is, first of all, to ask the government to put more interest into securing the lives and properties of people in the Northwest. Yeah, we've seen a couple of government strategies that are dealing with the conflict, the problem rather. We've seen the communication shutdown that was instituted in September, which of course it did not really achieve much, because for what SBM Intelligence did, according to a survey we carried out, we asked residents in Kaduna, Zamfara, and Katsina if security has improved 3 weeks after the NCC issued a shutdown. And about 50% of Zamfara residents said nothing has improved. Rather, they have found themselves become poorer. And so on one hand, you could see that people do not have faith in the government. And then on the other hand, you could see that people who have faith in the government are asking the government to do. And I think that's the genesis of the whole protest and everything. Yes, you could see some people that believe that, of course, the government have left the region to suffer. But I do believe that there are no hard and fast rules to these things. Solutions is not really that easily forthcoming, because achieving peace on the long term in the Northwest and in North Central is going to take a whole lot of years of investment, which, of course, the investment over the years has played a key factor into.
Well, let's hope that time comes as soon as possible. But let me just move over to Skype or to Zoom, I beg your pardon, where we have Ali Isa, who is a researcher joining us from Kano. Well, Ali, looking at the fact that, the hashtag, generated so much attention, so much traction, there were protests in Nigeria and even abroad. Would you say that was a viable way, a way to go in terms of trying to get the attention of the authorities to take quick action?
Yeah, it's really a viable way in which people can actually engage the government if you look at the first, most of the things that actually the youth achieved, especially in northern Nigeria, the campaigns actually started on social media. So I think using the North is bleeding and the secure North and other hashtags have been a very viable way in which citizens come together and discuss this is some of their problems. So in mostly whenever you conduct your research, we have a term called the social media for pre-crime policing. So actually, social media for pre-crime policing is a situation whereby people or let's say citizens can actually use the social media to alert to alert the security agencies or actually where to alert the authorities if something is actually going on in their areas. So the hashtag secure north, you find out that some even use the hashtag whenever they had a report or whenever they hear something or the bandit coming towards their side. So using the hashtag amplified and actually let the world know what is actually going on in northern Nigeria, especially this in the northwestern part of the country, and even prior to like when there was this embargo on the telecom, there are areas whereby whenever somebody wants to post any information regarding any form of insecurity in the north, they normally make use of those hashtags. So I think the use of the hashtags really help in actually alerting the authorities and letting the world know that this is a situation in which this particular area is. And like what happened in Kano, the first day that the citizens came out to protest, and so the leader of that protest, when actually she came and she led the protest, the later she was invited by the security agencies. There were hashtags started flying up and down in almost all the social networks that she should be freed. Then still that hashtag was used. So that pressure actually made the security agencies to think otherwise or
Yeah.
to actually change or let the leader of the protest go. Then afterwards, the citizens continue using that hashtag to a point whereby like a petition was created online, and that petition actually gathered a lot of momentum and actually led a lot of people to know that this is the situation going on in this. So I think citizens using that particular hashtag or other hashtags or social media,
Yeah.
they really amplify what is actually going on, and they have actually created this momentum, telling the world that this is what is going on in their region.
All
And I
right.
think with that, we're a very long way in making the government to do this in the needful.
All right, let me just hold you there for a bit. And again, well, still in Kano, but this time around in our studio, where we have Zayed Ayuba standing by. Zayed, so it seems there is an approach that has already taken place. Some are using social media, people have already gone on the streets. But what other way would you suggest, to bring this to an end?
So, Victor, actually the use of that hashtag is very fundamental. That is because if you look at it, you realize that in the past, in the olden Nigeria, people use the newspaper, the radio, the TV to be able to express their grievances. But with the coming of social media, it made these expressions easier, faster, and it became something that actually assists Nigerians to have a point of unity. If you look at the critical areas that are highly affected by this banditry are Niger, Sokoto, Zamfara, Katsina, and Kaduna. And the use of hashtag actually assisted other Nigerians that are concerned about these issues, and that it assists the people to be able to stand, to have a particular direction of saying that this is what we want. So the use of hashtag, especially on the issue of secure note, have actually assisted in raising the consciousness of both Northerners and the entire Nigerians. So I feel above, or let me say beyond the use of hashtags, Nigerians need to actually start holding consultative town hall meetings among themselves. Because up to now, if you notice, the youth are actually not having a strong voice that the government listens to. And we have this kind of a problem that majority of us actually think only protest can be used in sending our grievances, which is very wrong. Away from protest, away from the use of hashtags, we can be able to start holding consultative town hall meetings, to start engaging our critical stakeholders, the traditional rulers, the businessmen, the dons from the academia, and everyone that have something to contribute. And even those we elect into various political positions, let them start attending these town hall meetings, and let us start giving our grievances to them for them to be able to table it before those that can be able to listen to our grievances. Equally, apart from that, we can...
Oh yeah, I was going to say, you know, you're bringing in another dimension, you know, to the whole conversation, talking about how young people don't have a voice, so to speak. Now, well, that's your opinion, and of course, you are entitled to it. But you know, if we're looking at what is going on at the moment, of course, I'll come back to the facts, you know, to the issue of, you know, young people coming together to speak with one voice. But you know, looking at what is going on at the moment, apart from these town halls that you're talking about, maybe if you were particular about what kind of town halls you were talking about, perhaps a lot more clarity you'd put more clarity on that.
Yes, what I was actually saying, that these hashtags are very fundamental, and they assist the people to be able to voice out what is actually affecting them. But I got to your question, the earlier question you gave me, you said, what other ways? And that is why I am actually recommending...
That's correct, that's correct.
Yes,
go ahead.
I'm with you.
Yeah, that's correct.
That is why I'm actually recommending that away from the use of just hashtags, because these hashtags actually help us in gaining solidarity from people that are even outside Nigeria. For example, before the arrival of Secure, you realize that people that are affected by insecurity only speak about their problem, and they hardly have other Nigerians that help them in voicing out their grievances. But with the coming of Secure, people from China, from Dubai, from anywhere outside Nigeria that are concerned about these happenings actually support us in using the hashtag to Secure.
All right.
As such, I feel...
Yeah, let me just hold you there for...
I feel it's high time... Okay.
You feel it's high time for...
I feel it's high time that a concerned and progressive youth organization should start coming together. Instead of us to just be lying down at the comfort of our room, to be speaking just on social media, we need to start engaging ourselves, talking among and between ourselves, so that let each and every critical stakeholder feel that he is very important for him to come out and start giving his own contribution in ending these problems that are affecting our economy and the lives of our people.
All right, very well. Let me hold you there again for a bit. I mean, do you buy that you know, a lot more needs to be done, especially in terms of young people coming together, you know, to have this conversation or this town hall meetings and present, you know, their needs or the things that they feel, you know, hits them the most in society, so that it can be taken care of by those in authority.
Yeah. So two things. Nigeria's median age is about 19.1. That's the median age of the average Nigerian. So what we have is that we have about 62% of our population being between 18 to 25 years. And so any kind of solution towards the insecurity in the North has to be youth-centered. So the youth have to drive the change. And so, secondly, the people who perpetrate most of these things in the North, this violence in the North, are young people. Kachala Turji, that you're about to talk about in the next few minutes, is actually a young man. He's 29 years old. So many of these bandit leaders, they're all young people. And so I think from what our guest in the Kano studio has already said, I think it has to go beyond just hashtags, the use of hashtags. But if you go beyond the use of hashtags and go to the streets to protest, you have another challenge. We saw the heavy clampdown on the protesters in the Northwest by the security agencies, and it largely stems from one particular issue. The Nigerian government sees any kind of protest as a threat to regime security. And that is exactly where the problem is. Our security agencies have that special spectrum and outlook towards only regime security instead of national security, and that's where a huge problem lies. And so, to secure the north, especially, and to secure the north is to secure the country. Yeah. You understand? So, if you're going to be having solutions to the insecurity in the north, the youth have to drive the change. And as he has said, town hall and township meetings. But town hall and townships meeting would not go well if there is no accountability and there is no record. I'll give you an instance.
Just before you get to that instance, just hold it for a second. Okay. We need to take a break, and when we come back, of course, I'll come back to you to wrap it up on that. But just please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We still have with us our panelists right here in the Lagos studio, in the Kano studio, as well as via Zoom. But just before we went on break, Makari Confidence was actually trying to make a point talking about an instance. But let me just let you, as they say, it's best to hear from the horse's mouth.
All right. So something happened in the Atiap kingdom of Zangon Kataf. It's a local government in Kaduna. So the Atiap people have been at war with the Fulanis for some years. And there have been a series of meetings between them, aimed at resolving the conflict. Even the Kaduna State government is aware. It's one of the people who are pushing for the resolution of the crisis. And so when you have a peace deal between the warring factions, some needs to go ahead to break the peace deal. And then there's no accountability. And even when the military actually is the one that is not taking responsibility or not monitoring the peace process, the youth do not even raise any issues. So we leave these issues for the village heads and the community leaders, which of course they are old men. So that lack of accountability, which of course the lack of accountability, which has been a major problem, is I think a key way to actually drive up what could be the solution. So if you have peace meetings, you have peace deals, follow it up. Look for progressive reports, look for reports on implementation, and so many other things. So many times we just allow these things to just fester, and then whenever a new outbreak comes in, we come back and start wondering where did we go wrong? So it's just like a continuous circle that never sees an end.
Well, hopefully this one will end. But let me bring in Ali Issa again back into the conversation. Ali, Makari just kind of gave us a somewhat historical, perspective to the thing, talking about the Atia people and the Fulani in Kaduna. And now let's look at it even from a historical point of view. Now, how long has these, issues been happening, especially, the banditry and all of that in that part of the country?
Sorry, I didn't get that. Your voice, listen, I lost the audio.
All right, so I'm sorry about that. I was saying, let's take a look at a historical perspective from it, of all of this. How long has this been happening? And of course, recently we've seen the army or the military, making inroads. We heard about the raid on Turji's camp. But how long has this been going on for it to have gotten to the stage that it has at this point?
Well, if you look at the issue that's with the banditry, banditry is not something new to the northwest, especially if you take the areas of Zamfara, Sokoto, and some parts of Katsina. It has been there since the 1800s. But what actually changed over time is this particular crop of bandits that we have now. They have access to sophisticated, let's say, arms or let's say ammunition, especially with the fall of this in the Libya regime, this in the early 2010s and 2011. So we're going forward. You find out that a lot of people, or a lot of this youth, that actually do this banditry of a thing. They are youth mostly that have lost means of their livelihood, because there was this cattle rustling that had been going on over the years. Like most of the people that normally rear or go around with these cattle, during this cattle rustling, they will be dispossessed of their cattle, and sometimes they will be killed, and the cattle will be roasted and sold in the black market. So it got to a point whereby they had no choice. They had no choice, or a situation whereby weapons just came into their hands due to the inflow of these weapons from the Northern Africa. and that was how they went into this business of they went into this crime of kidnapping and all that. So I think with the right education and with the right education and let's say an opportunity for them to work, it will go a very long way in solving some of this crisis of the crisis of banditry that we have in the Northwest. Then also in addition, the government should look into a situation whereby these people need to be actually, apart from using the kinetic warfare method, there has to be a non-kinetic way of also, let's say, a non-kinetic way of solving this the problem that has to do with this banditry. And also, social media can help in so many ways. Because if you look at the social influencers that we have across the Northwest has been doing all they can to push message for the government to do what is needful, or for the authorities to do what is needful, and bring this end to this life, and bring an end to this loss of lives and properties. In addition to that, if you look at if you look at the social media campaigns that have been happening, the North has been very active in most of the social media campaigns that have been happening. Started from when we had the fuel subsidy protest, down to the Northeast bleeding and and secure North. And a lot of let's say the social media influencers and people that use social media networks in the North have seen the power of what utilizing social media can bring. Because if you look at all this while, these bandits have been going around killing people for quite a very long time.
Yeah.
But it was when this youth started utilizing or using the social media. That is when even the president now sent a team down to Sokoto security delegation to like interact with the people and interact with the government.
So pretty much that has been very effective.
Yeah, it's actually very effective, because if you check the statistics that you have, the secure North from Instagram down to Facebook and down to Twitter, it runs into thousands and even into millions. Now, hardly let's say someone using social media, especially a youth from the North, will post something, even if it's something personal, without adding that hashtag North is bleeding, or secure North. So it's really effective, and it has already in the course of this changing activities, especially things that has to do with policies. And
let me hold
looking at the way things are going on. Looking at the way things are going on, especially when it comes to the digital rights bill that we are all waiting for the government or for the president to sign the digital rights bill. If actually the president signed the digital rights bill, is going to empower citizens to use the social media to continue utilizing the social media campaigns for
I think
effective security in the country.
Very well. I think that's a good place to wrap it up with you, Alisa. Thanks for joining us on the program today.
Thank you.
Of course. But let me just quickly get to you, Zayed, in our Kano studio. Zayed, so the thing is, some of these bandits, there are popular ones that we know, or the government is aware of, the police as well. You know, there are names, I don't want to call names, but they're there, we know them. You know, so what stops us? What do you think you would recommend, you know, in terms of apprehending these people quickly as we wind down?
So, Victor, quickly, every single bandit in northern Nigeria is known. His family are known. And if they will truly deal with these people, they truly know what they should do. Now, as Arewa Youth Consultative Council, part of what we are recommending to the government for them to quickly bring an end to this thing is there should be a temporary declaration of state of emergency in these states that are affected by banditry. Let there be military administrators that will handle those states, even if it is for just 3 months.
Well, that's.
I assure you that.
I was going to say that's another ball game.
Politics away. Yes, take politics completely away from this fight, and I assure you, you will see what will happen. Secondly, we are of the opinion that there is supposed to be a holistic, total reorientation, because the bandits are mostly youth. In fact, every single thing about banditry is youthful in nature.
All right,
and
all
there
right,
is
all
no
right, Zaid.
holistic approach in orientation and education of youth in northern Nigeria. What we used to do is what we are doing every day.
All
So
right,
the youth
Zaid.
need to be engaged. They need to be.
This will be a good point to wrap it up. Of course, with you today on the show as well. Thanks for joining us, Zaid Ayuba. You are the president of the Iowa Youth Consultative Council. Thanks once again for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much, sir.
Of course, Makari, thanks as well for joining us on the program.
Thank you for
and sharing your thoughts. Hopefully, this will be nipped in the bud.
Absolutely.
And of course, the Northwest, the North, and then the country would be safe again. But that's where we are. We'll leave you with the Mosby videos on our YouTube channel in the past week. Thank you for watching. I'm Victor Matthias.
Can hear the gunshot. It's slow down. What is
The attack by bandits on commuters along the Kaduna-Abuja Expressway kicks off this week's most viewed videos in 5th place.
Individual! Individual! Yeah! Individual! God!
It is followed by the invasion of a kidnapper's den by troops, where dead bodies were found.
There are plenty, both girls, both ladies, both kids.
3rd spot sees the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu intercepting a vehicle going one way.
Nobody can even control and say, go, this is the roundabout, go and take the normal way. Nobody. And they say government is bad.
2nd is former President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo taking a swipe at President Buhari's fight against insecurity.
I always say this. Each and every one of us has solutions for the Nigeria problem. But each and every one of us is wrong.
Don't fire from there, don't fire from there.
While in 1st place is the gun battle between the police in Anambra and unknown gunmen, which led to the death of 5 people.